Should you use AI as an author? This is a big question, and people get into a lot of arguments about it. Broadly speaking, there are two camps. One camp is very, very much against the use of AI, really in all forms, whether it's for brainstorming, coming up with ideas, writing sections of the book, or whether it's for designing the cover art. One camp is very, very much against using it for really anything, with the possible exception of checking spelling and grammar, because AI and AI-like tools and systems have been used for a long time with that, so I think people don't really mind. And also spelling and grammar is quite a technical thing, so it feels like it's not really interfering with the creative process. The other camp is a bit broader, and that's just the people who are willing to use it to some degree or another. People who are not averse to it. I think those people, there's quite a range in how far they're willing to take it. Some people are just willing to use AI for a bit of brainstorming, but the actual writing of the text they want to do themselves. Some people take it a bit further, and they want the AI to write a bit of the text. In terms of fiction writing, which is what this video is about in this channel in general, I think there aren't that many people who are willing to let AI write the entire book for them. Some people do, but I think a lot of people, that's the one thing they don't want to do. You know, people want to actually write the book themselves, write large sections of it. They don't want the AI to do that. There are people doing it. There certainly are books on Amazon, quite a lot of books at this point, that are wholly written by AI. But I think that's somewhat of a niche position. And of course there are plenty of people who are willing to use AI for cover art, because you know, the cover matters. Getting a good cover, getting good cover art is very difficult. Cover artists can be very expensive, and a lot of people who want to be authors really don't have that kind of money to be throwing around. So those are the two camps. I think the middle ground is the area least occupied, where maybe people are willing to use it for some brainstorming and maybe fixing a few things, like, you know, small scale editing lines and paragraphs and that sort of thing. I think that's sort of the least occupied part of the spectrum. I myself don't quite fall into either camp, and that's because I don't really use AI stuff at all anywhere. I don't use it when searching the internet. I mean, I used to use Google for all of my searching a while ago. I'm not sure how long ago, maybe a year, maybe more, maybe 2 years, I'm not really sure. But a while ago, I stopped using Google because of those stupid AI snippets. I couldn't stand them, and there didn't seem to be a way, at the time at least, to get rid of them. I couldn't stand them, so I just stopped using Google and I use another search engine now. I have all AI tools turned off on my system. I don't have Microsoft Word anymore, but when I did, anything AI was completely turned off. All across Windows, every AI thing is turned off. I do a lot of programming as well. A lot of programmers now do a lot of stuff with AI. They do a lot of programming with AI. I don't use it for that either. A lot of people who don't use AI tools don't use them out of principle. And very often that principle is that a lot of these AI companies have essentially committed mass copyright violation by just taking a lot of stuff that wasn't theirs and ingesting it into their system. A lot of people really don't like that, and I don't like that either. So a lot of people don't use AI stuff for that reason. I think this is a valid reason not to use it. As I say, I don't like the fact that this sort of mass taking happened and continues to happen, and I do regard it in a lot of cases as a violation of copyright. So I don't like it for that reason, but that's not actually the reason why I don't use AI stuff. I don't use it because I find it very annoying. It gets in the way. When it comes to programming, I don't want a robot suggesting to me what code to write. I know what code I want to write. I have no problem knowing what code I want to write. I just have to type it out. The same goes with anything writing-wise. I have no problem knowing what I want to write. I just need to type it out, get this robot out of the way. But more importantly than that, why do I write books at all? Why do I do it? I do it because I have ideas in my head, I have stories in my head, characters in my head, and I want to get them out onto the page. The whole point of writing a book is that I did it because it was stuff in my head that I wanted on the page. That was the whole point. If I just get an AI to do some part of it, to do some part of specifically the creative process, coming up with things, even if that's down to words and phrases, well, what was the point? What was the point of throwing together this book, chucking together this book that I'm now claiming to be mine if I didn't write it? The whole point is I wanted to write the words, I wanted to create the characters, I wanted to create the worlds, I wanted to create the invented languages. I mean, language invention, language construction is something I do in a lot of my books. Well, all of them I think actually. I do it a lot. And when you're inventing a language, when you're inventing a word, you know, does it really matter what the word is? Does it really matter what jumble of letters you put together? Well, to a robot, it doesn't really matter. To you, it does, because when you choose that particular made-up word for that particular thing, that is you using your understanding and your enjoyment of different languages to come up with a certain style, a certain flavour to this language that you're inventing, to give it a certain mood, a certain feel, a certain sense to it. That is essentially your expression of your understanding and your enjoyment of other languages going into the creation of a new language. To a robot, there's none of that. It's just a jumble of letters. To you, you are trying to express something through every invented word that you put into your book. And really, this is true with every normal word, every phrase you put into your book as part of your story. It is you trying to express something because that is what you were thinking about. That is the mood and the style that you wanted to express. If you get a robot to do it, what is the point? So that's the reason, that's the main reason why I don't use it, and I will never use AI for any of my books, is that I had something that I intended, something that I wanted. It wasn't random, it wasn't arbitrary. It was my ideas in book form. And this is why I find it somewhat strange when I hear of people who are using AI to do certainly the creative parts of the writing process, because I just think, didn't you want to do that bit? Wasn't that the whole point when you said you wanted to write a book? Wasn't the whole point that you were going to do it? If you just got a robot to do it, why? What was the point of this exercise? Wasn't that a massive waste of time? In general, I don't really care if other people use AI for their writing. I find it a bit strange, but I don't really care. And particularly, I don't really care if they use it for the more technical things like spelling and grammar checks. And even just, you know, if you've written a paragraph and you think, oh, this doesn't seem quite right, there's something just about the flow of the paragraph that isn't quite right, and maybe you ask an AI to rewrite it for you, and you think, oh no, yes, that's a bit closer to what I wanted, or that works a bit better. I'll use that, but maybe I'll still change a few things. I'm not so averse to this. I do think there is a tremendous value in, if something's not working in your book, you know, in terms of the flow and the use of language, I do think there is value in doing it yourself and not depending on machines to do it. But everyone has slightly different writing processes anyway, so I don't think it's anything that one should be too bothered about. I will say as well, I don't use spelling and grammar checkers, with the exception of sometimes right at the end of a book project. The entire time that I'm writing a book, I have the spelling and grammar checkers turned off the entire time. I have to do it myself, and even the editing process, I won't have them turned on. As I say, sometimes I'll have them turned on right at the end. I'll just do one check for that sort of thing. But for the most part, I don't have them turned on. And the reason for that, or the reasons for that, one, I think it is good to be able to do these things yourself, to be able to spell these words correctly yourself, and to be able to check the spelling yourself, check the grammar yourself, understand why a certain sentence is or isn't grammatically correct. And two, because spelling and grammar checkers, this idea of there is a particular way, particularly grammar checkers actually, this idea that there is a particular way that you must write a sentence, tends to sometimes, maybe 5-10% of the time, overlook part of the creativity in how you word a sentence. It tends to overlook the fact that, okay, you've written a bit of a strange sentence here. Maybe it's not grammatically perfect, but maybe it was exactly right for that part of the story. Maybe it was exactly right for that character. And spelling and grammar checkers have no concept of this. They have no concept of flavour and variety and style. So I turn them off. I can't stand them. I only use them right at the end. So I don't use AI for writing my books, and I never will. And although I agree with many of the principles that people have for not using AI to write their books, the main reason, the primary reason why I don't do it is just that I don't see the point. I don't see why you would write a book at all if you just get a robot to write it. What is the point? That's what I think. What do you think? Let me know down in the comments section below. That's all I have for you today.